Bonjour, French 2 students. Here is your Lesson 27A teaching video, covering pages 386 to 390 in your textbook. S'il vous plaît, ouvrez vos livres à la page 386. Leçon 27. Un client difficile. Monsieur Rochon a beaucoup d'appétit, mais pas beaucoup de patience. En fait, Monsieur Rochon est rarement de bonne humeur. Et quand il est de mauvaise humeur, c'est un client difficile. Aujourd'hui, par exemple, au restaurant. Garçon, j'arrive. Qu'est-ce que vous avez comme hors d'œuvre? Nous avons du jambon et du saucisson. Apportez-moi tout ça, avec du pain et du beurre. Bien, monsieur. Et comme boisson, qu'est-ce que je vous apporte? Donnez-moi de l'eau minérale. Dépêchez-vous, j'ai soif. Apportez-moi du poulet et des frites. Vite, j'ai très faim. Je vous apporte ça tout de suite. Et apportez-moi aussi du fromage, de la glace, de la tarte aux pommes et de la tarte aux abricots. Mais qu'est-ce que vous attendez? Tout de suite, monsieur, tout de suite. Mais qu'est-ce que vous m'apportez? Je vous apporte l'addition. So a little side note is that rochon is the word, un rochon is the word for a grouch. So again, your textbook's kind of having some fun here. So a difficult client. Mr. Grouch has a large appetite or a lot of appetite, but not a lot of patience. As a matter of fact, Mr. Grouch is rarely in a good mood. And when he is in a bad mood, he's a difficult client. Today, for instance, at the restaurant, waiter, I'm coming. What do you have for hors d'oeuvre or appetizers? We have some ham and some sausage. Bring me all of that, with some bread and some butter. Good, sir. And for a drink, what can I bring you? Give me some mineral water. Hurry up. I'm thirsty. Bring me some chicken and fries. Fast. I'm very hungry. I will bring you that right away. And also bring me some cheese, some ice cream, some apple pie, and some apricot pie. But what are you waiting for? Right away, sir, right away. But what did you bring me? I brought you the check. So Mr. Grouch doesn't seem to be a very nice man. He's rather demanding and eats a lot. All right, take a look at the note culturelle. Les restaurants français et la cuisine française. Les Français aiment manger chez eux, mais ils aiment aussi aller au restaurant. Pour les gens pressés, il y a la restauration rapide et les pizzerias. Pour les gens qui veulent faire un bon repas, il y a toutes sortes de restaurants spécialisés. Auberge, restaurant régional, restaurant de poisson. Il y a aussi les grands restaurants où la cuisine est extraordinaire et très cher. La cuisine française a une réputation internationale. Pour beaucoup de personnes, c'est la meilleure cuisine du monde. Les Américains emploient un grand nombre de mots au vocabulaire de la cuisine française. Est-ce que tu connais les mots suivants? Soupe, sauce, mayonnaise, omelette, filet mignon, tarte, purée, soufflé. Est-ce que tu aimes les croissants, les crêpes, la mousse au chocolat? So, working through the translation, French restaurants and French cooking, cooking. The French like to eat at their house, but they also like to go to a restaurant. For people in a hurry, there are fast food restaurants and pizzerias. For the people who want to have a good meal, there are all sorts of specialty restaurants, country inns, regional restaurants, fish restaurants. There are also the great restaurants where the cuisine or the food is extraordinary and very expensive. French cooking has an international reputation. For a lot of people, it is the best cooking or food in the world. The Americans have borrowed a large number of words from in their vocabulary from French food. Do you know the following words? Soup, sauce, mayonnaise, omelette, filet mignon, tarte, puree, souffle. Do you like croissants, crepes, chocolate mousse? Okay. So this lesson is about object pronouns, and we're going to do a little English review as well to make sure you know what an object pronoun is. So we have les pronoms complément me, te, nous, vous. In the sentences below, the pronouns in heavy print are called object pronouns. Note the form and position of these pronouns in the sentences below. Anne me parle, elle m'invite. So Anne talks to me, she invites me. Mes amis te parlent, ils t'invitent. My friends talk to you, they invite you. Tu nous parles, tu nous invites. You talk to us, you invite us. Je vous parle, je vous invite. I am talking to you, I invite you. So the forms here, right? So what we're noticing here is these, okay? Oops, I meant to have a different color. These object pronouns here. And notice they mean more or less the same thing, right? It's me both times, but we have the kind of to with the speak, because in French we say, and even in English, we say that we talk to someone, okay? But notice that they don't change what they mean. So the forms of the object pronouns that correspond to the subject pronoun je, tu, nous, and vous are, okay, for je, right? So for this corresponds to the subject pronoun je, but it means me or to me. This corresponds to the subject pronoun tu, but it means you or to you. Okay, so you can't use to as a subject pronoun. Okay, this is for obviously the subject pronoun nous and the subject pronoun of vous. S'il vous plaît, répétez me, te, nous, vous. So let's take a moment here to kind of talk about what pronouns are even in English, what objects are in English, because this is a good chance to review some English and to make sure you're familiar with this. So remember, I'm not an English teacher, so if you have more specific questions, they probably would be better directed to one of your language arts teachers. but kind of an English review and reminder. There are actually two types of objects, and these four that we're talking about in French can be either one of these. So there's what's called a direct object. And a direct object, okay, answers the question, what or who. And these are going to be kind of related to your verb. So an example in English, okay, is David repaired his car. So what did he repair? Okay, what did he repair? He repaired his car. So his car is a direct object. And I don't know if you still do this in language arts classes, but I remember in high school diagramming sentences, and one of the things that you diagrammed was a direct object, okay? A direct object is always going to answer that what or who. So another example in English is he invited Mary to the party. So again, who did he invite? Right? Who did he invite? He invited Mary. So Mary again, okay, is a direct object because it answers that question, what or who. So those are direct objects. An indirect object, okay, answers the question, to whom or for whom. So to have an indirect object, it requires a direct object before you can have, or really kind of to have, an indirect object. And the indirect object kind of receives the direct object. And I'm going to kind of give you an example of a couple sentences in English. So one example here is they sent him a postcard. So remember our direct object, and I'm going to kind of make our direct object the blue. Okay. The direct object answers what or who. So what or who was sent, that's going to be our direct object. So what or who was sent? A postcard. So postcard is the direct object. Our indirect object answers the question to whom or for whom. So to whom was something sent? It was sent to him. So him is the indirect object. Another example. He bought his son a bike. So again, my indirect object is going to be bought who or what. Well, he bought a what in this case? A bike. So this is my direct object. Now, he bought the bike. Okay. So he bought it for whom? That's his son. So his son is the indirect object. So if we look back at our examples that our textbook gave us, right, our direct object answers the question, who or what. So who did you call? Me. Who did you invite? Me. Okay. So those are direct objects. Now notice in these sentences our direct and indirect objects come after our verbs. Okay. And notice in our French sentences they came before the verb. So that's going to be one of the differences here with position. In French, object pronouns usually come before the verb according to the following pattern. So in English, they're usually after the verb. In French, they're before the verb. So, affirmative, subject, object pronoun, verb, it comes right before it. So Paul nous invite. Who did Paul invite? Us. So this is a direct object. Okay, pronoun. Negative, subject, ne, object pronoun, verb, and then your pas. Eric ne nous invite pas. Eric didn't invite us. Okay? So again, the kind of difference is that these object pronouns come before instead of kind of where they are afterwards in English sentences. So let's take a look at exercice 2. Pauvre Chloé, or Chloe. Charlotte a de la chance. Sa copine Chloé n'a pas de chance. Jouez les deux rôles. So poor Chloe. Charlotte has luck, or Charlotte's lucky. Her friend Chloe is not lucky. Play the two roles. So look at our example prompt here. Again, we have mon copain and invité. And so the lucky person, this is Charlotte. Okay. Says, mon copain m'invite. My friend is inviting me. And then this is Chloe. Or, yeah, maybe this girl here is Chloe. Sorry about that. Looks like this girl here is maybe Chloe. Okay. And she says, tu as de la chance, mon copain ne m'invite pas. So you're lucky my friend didn't invite me. Now, when we say these out loud, I don't need the tu as de la chance. That would be the same every time. So basically, you're saying the same thing, but you're putting the ne and the pas in it. So, again, I'd like you to do these out loud and then listen for the confirmation. So, number 1, we have ma tante invité au restaurant. Ma tante m'invite au restaurant. Tu as de la chance, ma tante ne m'invite pas au restaurant. 2. Mes cousins me téléphonent souvent. Mes cousins ne me téléphonent pas souvent. 3. Mon frère m'écoute. Mon frère ne m'écoute pas. 4. Mes parents me comprennent. Mes parents ne me comprennent pas. 5. Mes voisins m'invitent à dîner. Mes voisins ne m'invitent pas à dîner. 6. Ma copine m'aide avec mes devoirs. Ma copine ne m'aide pas avec mes devoirs. 7. Mon grand-père m'achète des cadeaux. Mon grand-père ne m'achète pas de cadeaux. 8. Mes amis m'attendent après la classe. Mes amis ne m'attendent pas après la classe. Chloe doesn't seem to have a very nice aunt, cousins, brother, parents, neighbors, female friend, grandpa, or friends. Alright, some vocabulary, les services personnels. So these are some verbs that tend to have object pronouns. So we have aider quelqu'un, to help. J'aide mes parents avec les devoirs. Amener quelqu'un. Le taxi amène les touristes à la gare. Apporter quelque chose à quelqu'un. Le serveur apporte le menu au client. Donner quelque chose à quelqu'un. Madame Marin donne 10 euros à sa fille. Montrer quelque chose à quelqu'un. Est-ce que tu montres tes photos à ton copain? And prêter quelque chose à quelqu'un. Est-ce que tu prêtes tes CD à tes amis? Now, aider is a regular ER verb. So is apporter and donner. And really so is montrer and prêter. You've had some of these before. A couple reminders, right? A regular ER verb, you start with your infinitive. You take off your ER, which gives you your stem. And then remember, we talk about what we add to the stem. So we add to the stem. For je, we add an E. For tu, we add an E. For il or L or on, we add an E. Sorry, for tu, we add an ES. For nous, we add an ONS. For vous, we add an EZ. And for il and L pluriel, we add an ENT. So I'm going to kind of underline our stem here, right? So that's the AID, the AMEN, through the T of apporter, through the double N of don, through the R of montrer, and through the T of prêter. Now, the one thing you do need to remember is you've learned amener before, and it was a verb that in the boot, it gets an accent. So remember, it's j'amène, tu amènes, il amène, or elle, or on. New form, though, doesn't get an accent, so it's amènons, vous amenez, and il and elle pluriel, amen, with the accent again, because it's in the boot. Also remember, apporter is for to bring a thing, while apporter is to bring a person. Or sorry, amener is to bring a person. So if you're going to talk about bringing people or any kind of person, you have to use amener for to bring. If you're talking about bringing something else, you use apporter. So these sentences, right, we should be able to identify our direct objects that answers who or what, and our indirect object, let's try this, that answers to whom or for whom. Okay. So as we look at these, right? J'aide mes copains avec les devoirs. I help my friends with the homework. Okay. So who do I help? I help my friends. So this is a direct object. Le taxi amène les touristes à la gare. The taxi brings the tourists to the train station. Who do they bring? The tourists. That's a direct object. Le serveur apporte le menu aux clients. The server brings the menu to the clients. What did he bring? The menu. That's the direct object. To whom? To the clients. Clients is an indirect object in this sentence. Madame Marin donne 10 euros à sa fille. What did we give? 10 euros, so that's a direct object. To whom or for whom? To her daughter. That's the indirect object. Est-ce que tu montres tes photos à ton copain? Are you showing your pictures to your friend? What are you showing? The photo, so that's the direct object. To whom are you showing them? To your friend, that's the indirect object. Est-ce que tu prêtes tes CD à tes amis? Are you lending your CDs to your friends? What are you lending? Your CDs, that's the direct object. To whom are you lending them? To your friends, that's the indirect object. So let's take a look at exercise 4. Bonne survie. Informez-vous sur les personnes suivantes. Dis ce que leurs amis ou leurs parents font pour eux. Pour cela, complétez les phrases avec le pronom me, te, nous ou vous. So, good service. Inform yourself on the following people. Say what their friends or their parents did for them. For each, complete the sentences with the pronouns, object pronouns, me, you, us, or you. So, taking a look at this first one, right? J'organise un boom. Okay, so we have, I'm organizing a party. So, ma sœur me prête ses CD. Because I'm organizing it, she's bringing me. Nous avons faim. We're hungry. Cécile nous apporte des sandwichs. Cécile is bringing us some sandwiches. So, numéro 1, nous organisons un pique-nique. Nos copains nous aident. 2. Tu as soif? Je t'apporte un soda. So we're using the object pronoun that corresponds, right? So for je, it's me, if the subject is je. For tu, it's te. For nous, it's nous. And for vous, it's vous. So in the second one, because the subject is to of the first sentence, it's te. And it would be actually T apostrophe because apport starts with a vowel. 3. Vous préparez l'examen. Le prof vous donne des conseils. J'ai besoin d'argent. Mon cousin me prête 20 euros. 5. Tu es chez les voisins. Ils te montrent leur appartement. 6. Nous sommes à l'hôpital. Nos amis nous rendent visite. 7. Vous êtes sympathique? Je vous invite chez moi. 8. Nous allons prendre l'avion. Le taxi nous amène à l'aéroport. 9. Je nettoie le garage. Mon frère m'aide. So your homework on page 389, exercise 2, and page 390, exercise 4. Again, when you write this one out, you don't have to write the toi de la chose. So this is just kind of practicing the order when it's affirmative and negative. So a couple things. Number 1, remember to conjugate your verbs because they've given you the infinitive, and so you need to conjugate your verbs. And then you're paying attention to the order. So for number 1, okay, you'd write ma, tolt, min vite, and the subject of the sentence is tolt. That's like either L singular, so it should end in an E. Okay, au restaurant. And then for the negative, I'm just going to say L to save myself a little writing. L, ne, min vite, pas, au restaurant. So again, you're going to write out those sentences, okay? Those 2 sentences for each of these. Exercise 4. Okay. Here I'd like you to write out the sentence too, but just the second sentence. So again, you're using the object pronoun that corresponds to the subject. So for number 1, you would write no copain, nous, and. So you're writing out those sentences. Au revoir, à demain.